Hi guys, welcome to my session about 40 Write Pro migration. My name is Achim Peschke, I'm working for 40 Germany. Before using new features in 40 Write Pro, you have to take care that the old things keep running as far as possible and with a minimum of changes. And believe me, there are still developers not yet really started with the migration, for what reason ever. Maybe no time up to now, or too complicated, or they do not know where to start. There was already a migration session at the last 40 summit. At that time we had a 40 version 16. Now we talk about V18, R2, R3. Here we have not only new features like tables and so on, we have also new and enhanced possibilities for migration compared to V16. This session shall help you to make your migration easier. I will tell you how things work. We will talk about some internals so that you understand 40 Write Pro better. And it shall give you ideas how to migrate the best way. Only if you know the new concepts of 40 Write Pro, you will be able to migrate quickly and choose the best approach for migration. This is the list of topics we want to talk about. Sure, there will be more things we could talk about. In Germany, I made several special 40 Write Pro conversion code kitchens lasting one complete day. Conversion support for one developer and his application. Some developers even joined twice. But here we're limited to 50 minutes. So I made a sub-selection of some, I hope, interesting issues to talk about. Let us start with the first sample. We want to convert the document from old 40 Write stored in a block field. And if we try this, you see that it will not work. It does not work with my V18 under Mac OS Catalina. Why? It's a 64-bit system. It's a 64-bit version of 4D. And the old 40 Write does not work anymore because it only exists as the 32-bit version. But this is not a problem at all. You do not need to have the old 40 Write version running on the machine or on the computer where you want to convert your documents. You only need the documents stored in a block field or as an external document on the hard disk. And if we press this button, you see WP New. This does not only create new documents, you can also use this block field as a parameter to convert your existing documents. And if we do this, you see here we are. We have some different deformated text. Here some text in the footer. Here we have a date. Here we have an address of the customer. Here we have a picture and text flow. We also have text in the footer. And we even have a picture freely placed on the page. So, but if you now want to know if it looks the same as before, you can trust me if I say, yes, it does. But maybe you don't trust me. Then you can use a magic trick. Yeah, simply create a tab named 32-bit, and here we are. Here we have the old 40 Write on the right side and the new 40 Write Pro on the left side, and you see that in fact it looks the same. But it's no magic trick. I'm just kidding you. I took a screenshot in 40 version 17 that was running a 32-bit on a different machine. But this shows you what you can do if you want to compare the one or other document. I'm sure that you do not want to compare if there are differences in hundreds or 1,000 or multi-thousand documents. Of course not. But maybe you will check 1 or 2 or 10 documents. Yes, you can do this. Take 2 machines, take 2 monitors, or take an operating system where the V17 can run, and then you can compare a small number of documents. Okay, but that's it. This was easy and the result looks exactly the same. But why? We gathered lots of old 40 Write documents from developers all over the world. big or complicated documents with lots of pictures, references, and so on. This helped us to learn what might customers have in documents and what our converter shall take into account. And we learned from developers sending us documents they found causing problems while conversion. We can have two kinds of documents. Templates for invoices, for invitations, for offers, and so on. These templates are needed in your daily work. The number of templates is normally not that huge. The best strategy is to convert these templates first and analyze if there are problems. If there are problems, solve them. If finished, you're ready for your daily business with PhotoWrite Pro creating new documents. What can be in a template? In the easiest case, static text and pictures, but also dynamic references coming from 4D for the commands, own project methods, fields and variables. As you have seen in the demo, references are converted and keep working. But you might have old PhotoWrite programming. In this case, you have to do some work to replace it by 4D programming or by PhotoWrite Pro programming. Next, let us have a look which 4D commands can be used with PhotoWrite Pro. But before, a very important tip. In old times, you used old 4D areas as parameters using pointers, as you can see here in the slide. Please do not work this way anymore with PhotoWrite Pro. If you use a PhotoWrite Pro object as parameter, it is automatically a reference to a region in main memory. So, no more need to use pointers. Let's have a look at the next sample. PhotoWrite Pro has already lots of special PhotoWrite Pro commands, and the number grows with each new R release. But what if you need a certain command that is still missing? Use 4D commands. We enhanced lots of 4D commands to be able to work with PhotoWrite Pro as a parameter. This is a big benefit for you because you already know these commands from a daily work. Let's press this button here. As you can see, I use styled text commands for formatting and inserting expressions. All the commands from the ST or styled text attributes chapter. Okay, my sample is a bit older. These commands are deprecated for the future, but for compatibility reasons, they still work well. Later we will see an attribute where I have replaced all these commands by new PhotoWrite Pro commands. In between, yes, okay. Also commands for string manipulation and entry control work. For example here, position, length, string manipulation. Then I insert some expressions, st insert expression. I think all of you will know these commands. Here I hand over a 4D variable, a project method, a 4D command, and so on and so on. And as I told you, commands from the entry control chapter also works as here highlight text, and this would be the result. We have a PhotoWrite Pro document with text and different information references. And as I have shown you in the demo before, the references keep working. And also here you could switch back and forth between references and values. And as usual, you can also freeze your document. And if you freeze the document before saving, all the information is kept and does not change anymore if you open it later on. Which commands will also work? For example, the not all, but a certain subset of the object get and set commands. For example, here I want to set the alignment. Which object get set commands will work together with PhotoWrite Pro. You will find it written in the manuals. What else? The spell check commands. If we, for example, if we spell check, here we find the word Hauptstraße. It's a German address. Hauptstraße in English, Main Street. is not known in the English dictionary because English version of the operating system, English version of 4D, and so the English spell checker is used, the English spell checker dictionaries are used, and this one is not found. Okay. Yes, there are some more, and also form events will work, but what does not work? What not works are the old 4D write commands. For example, this here, WR find. I search for certain words in my text, and this I have to reprogram with 4D commands or with 4D Pro commands. And again, here I search, I get the use text of my document, stget plain text, style text command, with length and position, string manipulation commands. I work on the text, and afterwards, if I have found a word, I highlight this word. Yes, and of course, let's have a look at the result. This would be the result. The second kind of documents are existing documents, created yesterday or 35 years ago. Sure, the documents created yesterday with the current version of old 4D write should be in a good shape and reduce possible problems. But what if the document's getting older and older? Normally, the content of your document is frozen and does not change if opened later on. But you can have old QuickTime pictures. 4D write Pro can no more display those pictures or logos. They are lost after conversion. If you do not want to lose them, search, convert, and save them to a modern format, for example, PNG. And you have to do this with an old system supporting QuickTime, with an old 4D write and an old 4D version that supports QuickTime conversion commands. You may have old fonts, let me name them OS 7 fonts, old bitmap fonts, not compatible with OTF or TTF, so OpenType fonts or TrueType fonts. In this case, the OS might not have or does no more support the font used in the document. Now the system uses a different font, what might look differently. The characters might be wider. The line breaks and page breaks may differ. Bad? Maybe, but normal if the font is no more present or very old. We will come back on this issue later. Imagine you have an old 4D write document, never opened again since first saving maybe in the late 80s. No more opened since 35 years, and 4D write Pro might no more be able to open such an old document. Or easier, you have a corrupted document. 4D write Pro cannot convert any document that cannot be opened by the old 4D write itself. And that I do not forget two important things. 4D write Pro can only convert documents from block fields. If you still use old picture type fields, please modify this with the old 4D write. In our blog post, you find a component doing this for you to save time. And finally, old external documents in format WR6 cannot be converted directly with 4D write Pro. Use the old 4D write to switch to WR7 documents before. Font substitution. Maybe a font is too old or corrupted, or not designed as Quartz or Direct Write, DirectX wants how a font is designed today. Or your customer converts his documents on the server where the font is not installed. Or it is not installed on your computer where you convert the documents as a service for your customer because you do not have a license for the font. In this case, the font is substituted by a system font looking as similar as possible. This is the font pop-up view. This is the old font pop-up menu in the old 4D write. For example, for Arial, you could use a certain font style directly because all styles installed at the system level are displayed in this font menu, as you can see here. You could also choose Arial and style it bold or italic with the style buttons in the toolbar. And contrary to Arial, you could style any own font with the style buttons, even if the font had no styles at all. In old times, most programs worked this way. The style was a pixel-wise drawing using quick draw commands, or with other techniques under Windows. Working the modern way, you have a pop-up only showing font families. For example, Arial. This is the name of the font family. Imagine it as a folder with Arial as folder name. In this case here, we have three Arial font families: Arial, Arial Rounded, and Arial Unicode. Inside the font family, you can have separate fonts as single styles, or for better imagination, style files in the folder, in the font family folder. On the left, this is the font pop-up menu from the toolbar on top of 40 Write Pro. Sorry for the next pictures being in German, but I hope you will understand what I mean. Now in the middle, you see the font dialog of the rightmost widget of 40 Write Pro. The above pop-up menu, named Schrift or Font in English, shows the same as the toolbar widget on the left side of the slide, all font families. Depending on the chosen font families from the first pop-up menu, the second pop-up menu, Style, a style named in English, shows all styles inside the font family, or again, for better understanding, font files in the font family folder. And finally, this is the same what you see in the font manager application of the operating system, the picture on the right. Here we have the font manager of Windows 10. Font family is Arial, the name on top, besides the small house, that has different style files inside the font family. Now we convert a document with fonts styled the old quick draw way. If you used a system font or a font designed the OS recommended way, you are the winner. All should look the same as before. But if you used a font drawn by quick draw and the appropriate font file for the style is missing, this text is displayed as plain text without any style. In this case, choose a different font before or after the conversion. In case the font is too old, updating your font might help to get missing styles. But there is a real font substitution we introduced with V17R5. Before, if a font name was missing or if a font was completely missing, all font names in the document were replaced by the so-called substitution font. Let me explain this with an example. The original document on the left originally had a sans serif text. If the font is not installed while conversion, it is replaced by the system font Times New Roman. This is the problem with the text on the left converted with a V17R4 or maybe older. Looking at the source of the conversion, the CSS cascading style sheet shows the substitution font marked in red. There is no more chance to go back to the original font because the text does not know which font it had before. Here we see the source after a conversion with current versions of 4D, not with an old version. Times New Roman, the former substitution font, is now the so-called default font. Note the red arrows in the slide. It is used because the original font was not installed while converting the document. But now the text itself has a CSS, a style sheet, with the information which font was assigned originally. Note the green arrow in the slide. Without the original font, the text display differs. But if you open the document on a computer with the font installed, or if you install the font afterwards on this computer, the text display is fine again. There is more benefit of the default font technique. Here we have some code to switch to a different default font. This makes sense if you do not want a different font, if you want a different font for font substitution, then it is automatically assigned. In this case, in this sample, we switch to Arial. The modification can be done after the conversion or at any time. Nice, but it can be more flexible. With this code, we set a basic font for the document named Roboto. Here we are running under OS X and want to modify the default font. And we define an order which font to take if the most wanted should be missing. The customer wants Helvetica as first choice, if not installed, Morocco, or at least Arial Black, if none of the first two fonts is present. If needed, you can also define special settings for the Windows platform. In case you want to reset your settings, or if you decide to go back to the old behavior without any default font, reset all definitions using WP reset attributes. This line deletes all default font attributes from your document, as it has been converted with older versions of 40Write Pro. Background pictures. Background pictures are completely new to 4D. But you might say we could have pictures in the background since years. Yes and no. You could have pictures behind the text. The old 40Write supports pictures placed on the page in front of or behind the text. Or, of course, pictures in text flow. But no real background pictures, as you can see in these slides for 40Write Pro. As in old days, you can position a picture in the new background layer using coordinates. Bad if you want to move or resize it later. You have to find the picture, get the coordinates of the picture, calculate new coordinates for the picture, and assign the new coordinates to the picture. The background layer now allows to clip an image to a certain region, as you can hear in the sample code. Here we use the so-called content box. In this region, you normally have the text of your document. Let us have a look at sizing the new background pictures. With the command WP set attributes, we set a picture from a picture field, in this case, into the new background layer as a background image. In this case, we use the so-called context box. Then the picture is sized automatically to 100% and some things, and this would be the result. And if we now want to size, or the user wants to size, have a look how easy this is. The picture is automatically sized. I do not have to do the things we spoke about before anymore in the future if I use these new clipping regions. That was very easy. Don't think about resizing anymore. Which regions are possible? Page fills the complete page, makes sense for PDF or HTML output without any frame. If you want to print it, it only makes sense with a frameless printer. Border, the space between page and margin, or padding, the space between border and the start of text, or, as we have seen, content, the text range, the text area inside your documents. I'm sure that most of you creates documents from templates. For example, an invoice template is a kind of framework that is filled with customer data and product data by using expressions and placeholders. Or the user can even add additional text if needed. Here I will show you a different or a new way of templating using the bookmark feature of 40Write Pro. Bookmarks are a dynamic reference to a certain part of a 40Write Pro document. A bookmark is expressed by start and end position of characters. Not only characters, a bookmark can also contain tables or even inline pictures. But a bookmark is only a number of characters from a position A to a position B, without any formatting. On the left, we have a text with bookmarks, but you don't see where a bookmark is. On the right side, you see the HTML source to understand how a bookmark is stored in a document. The metadata contains the bookmark name together with starting and end position of the text inside the bookmark. For example, here in this case, geography starting at 139 and ends at 622. The big benefit now is that only one document or record can contain all needed bookmarked text to use as templates or part of templates. You do not need anymore to search for different records, get out a certain part of the template, next record, next template, and so on, and copy and paste it from the template record to your new document. There are only 4 commands you have to know to work with bookmarks. New bookmark, WP new bookmark, create a new bookmark. WP get bookmarks, get a list of all bookmarks in your document. Or WP bookmark range, create a range from a bookmark to style it or to use it as a template for a new document, for example. And finally, delete bookmark to delete a bookmark if it is no more needed. Let me show you how the new way of templating with bookmarks can look like. We load a text that has some bookmarks. We have already seen this text in one of the slides before. And if you now want to get the bookmarks out of this text, to know where the bookmarks are, here in this list box, with the command WP get bookmarks, we load the list of all bookmarks and fill the list box below. Okay, if we now click on any bookmark, for example, geography, then with WP get bookmark range, we get all the content, the text or whatever in the bookmark is, and select it. In this case, we select it on screen. But we could also format it or use it as a template and copy it into the new document. And this we want to do next. For example, let us select the bookmark Northwest. And we want to build a new empty document. Empty document, the cursor is at the beginning of the document, and then we want to append it to the existing empty document. And here is the text. It looks very simple. As we already have seen, WP bookmark range. With this command, I get all the text that is contained in the bookmark. Then I use the command WP new. And with this range we created before, I now create a new document that only contains this bookmark. Step 3, I go to my empty new document that shall be filled with different bookmarks. And at the position of the cursor at the start of the document, there is nothing inside, therefore end text is the start of the document. I create a text range where to insert the bookmark from the document we created here. Then WP insert document, I insert the document from the new created template document to the empty document to fill, and here we have the result. Okay, you can say, okay, I want some more, maybe I want to have some information about Patagonia, and with the same code as before, now we can go through, close the debugger. I fill my new document template by template. Oh, the user says, no, I forgot the introduction. I would like an introduction. Then I select the part I forgot and that I want to insert at the beginning. And simply I click on prepend and I use the same commands, only other constants to not say at the end of the document, does not matter what there was before, but this in this moment at the start of the document. So we had start and begin of the document, and now the user said, okay, but I want to insert also some text here. Then I can also insert it at the cursor document. Again, the same programming, other constants to insert. Argentina is not so nice, but let's take geography, for example. Geography over there, append at the cursor position, and this is our new created document. Screen areas. In Old 40 Write, this was easy. The plugin area was always rendered, used on screen or off screen. The advantage was you could use the same programming if the plugin was visible or not. The disadvantage was if you used the plugin area without display, it was always rendered with every modification done, so it was slow. Also, with the new 40 Write Pro, it is easy. 40 Write Pro is an object. Here we have a very simple example. The off-screen area is defined the same way as on-screen, WP new. Because off-screen a manual selection is not possible, I define the text to format with WP text range. I format the text by using attributes directly, using dot notation, or with WP set attributes, as the font size, the text color, and so on. Now you could print your text, send it by email directly from the off-screen area. Or you copy it on screen to see the result or to modify the document manually. Using it on screen, it is rendered in a special kind of area written in C++. There can be an interaction with the user. Certain parts, as the header, can have the focus. Tags or pictures can be selected. You can work with the selection, for example, copy and paste it. In this case, the programming is similar, very similar to the old 40 Write programming. In case of an on-screen area, this is an example of fitting the page numbering into the header. The document is visible, a header exists. And similar to the old 40 Write, I set the focus to the header with WP set frame. In the old 40 Write, it was WR set frame. Then I fill in, for example, my page numbering. So it looks very familiar. But off-screen, there is no rendered content. The document is an object in memory. There is no more focus or user selection. This means that you have to think more abstract. On-screen and off-screen programming will differ. But don't be scared to have two ways of programming. The off-screen way of programming works also for on-screen areas. This is the off-screen programming for setting a page number, as we have seen some slides before. I create a new empty document in an object in main memory, WP new. Because I do not know what is inside, I ask for the content by WP get sections. This returns me all sections in a collection that are inside this document. And there is always at least one selection. I get this only existing one selection in this document, in this sample document, by WP get section and with the number 1 for this only one section. If no header exists, I create a new one with WP get header. In the header, I create my text range with WP text range to fill in the page numbering the same way as before. Let us create documents from scratch in off-screen areas with the next sample. In this last sample, we want to create documents completely dynamic, on-screen or off-screen. In the first case, we have an empty document. We will fill it with the on-screen way of working. It's not really empty. I fill in some text coming from any template, records stored in the database. And then I position the cursor in certain parts of the document as the header here, WP set frame, then in the footer, next in the body, and fill in text as page number, tables, and so on and so on. Before on the slides I told you it's a bit similar as an old 40 write, to select certain parts of your documents and do something with these parts. Finally, we insert several breaks and a table I told you, and some picture. Here we have a background picture, and so on and so on. And finally, at the end, I will print this. And if we do this, here would be the result. Open in preview, and this could be the result. 2 pages. Very simple document. Okay, let's close this. And here we see the same if we scroll in the document. Okay, we can clear this. Now, we want to do it completely off screen. And as I told you, you have to work a bit more abstract. We again create a new document. It can be completely new or filled with some information coming from a template. But then we cannot simply set the frame to certain areas to do something with the content of these areas. We have to ask what is inside the document, which sections are inside the document. And as before on the slides, I only have one section here. So I get the section and ask what is inside. And if there is no header, then I create a new one. And the rest of the programming here is the same. And if we go on in the debugger and open it in the preview, then it looks exactly the same. We can close this and clear it again. And now, only to prove that it works, I want to show you off-screen programming for creating documents on-screen, so that you do not have to use different ways of programming depending on if you fill a document on-screen or off, or not only fill, create, modify, and so on. And if we do this, you see now it is the same as before. I work with the document as if it is off-screen. Then I fill in all my stuff as before with the off-screen way of working. And at the end, now I do not print it anymore, and also I do not copy it to the on-screen area. There, then you can see I directly use it to fill the on-screen document. And if we go on, we have the same result than before. Okay, the last thing I forgot to tell you, it was too fast. Let us go in here. If you can see, here are no more ST commands, style text commands. I replaced in this object method all the, let me say, old ST commands by the new WP commands with new for the right Pro commands. But we don't want to have a look at this now. You can do it by yourself. So that's it. Thank you for joining my session. Wish you much fun with 40 write Pro, and of course a successful migration from the old 40 write to the new 40 write Pro. Bye bye and have a nice day.